Gaming Bolt presents 15 amazingly solid Metal Gear facts you probably don't know. Metal Gear Solid is a very strange series, which means it also has a lot of weird things happening both in the game and behind the scenes in development. Here are 15 Metal Gear Solid facts you probably don't know. Metal Gear Solid 2's Rose is partially based on Hideo Kojima's wife. Rose, the wife of Raiden, is an important figure in both the second and fourth games in the series. It turns out that she was, at least partially, inspired by Hideo Kojima's own wife. It's unclear which aspects were specifically drawn from his wife, but he stated that her constantly asking him when they would marry was incorporated into Rose's character as her asking Raiden about April 30th over and over again. The death of Solidus was originally quite different in Metal Gear Solid 2. Before the actual death of Solidus Snake, he was set to die in two other unique fashions. He was supposed to be beheaded by Raiden, but when that was scrapped, it was decided that he would commit suicide in a traditional Japanese style. Both of these were thought to be too violent, so they were changed to a less blunt death. The tanker incident was originally going to be quite different. The tanker level of Metal Gear Solid 2 has gone down in history, cementing the opening moments of the game as something truly special, and setting the tone for all future events in the game, but it wasn't supposed to take place on a tanker. It was originally supposed to take place on an aircraft carrier in 2006, with Liquid Snake carrying a nuke. It's not clear how the events would have changed, but the opening we know and love wouldn't have existed. Also, the ending of the tanker incident was supposed to be much different. Snake had to escape the tanker in a pretty adventurous fashion, but the test audience disapproved of it. However, snippets of this can be seen in pre-release trailers. The original ending of Metal Gear Solid 4 saw Snake and Otacon turning themselves in for breaking the law. Despite saving the world a handful of times, Solid Snake and Otacon still caused far too much trouble, leading to devastating wars and the collapse of governments. The original ending for the fourth game in the series, and the conclusion to Solid Snake's story, was supposed to see Otacon and Snake turning themselves in for all of the crimes they've committed and are sentenced to be executed. However, this idea was voted down by the team, and what we got was a much better ending. Metal Gear Solid 4 was not able to achieve its full vision due to the PS3. Metal Gear Solid 4 was a technical marvel at the time, but Kojima wasn't entirely happy with the end product. According to him, several aspects of the game's visuals, including motion blending and map size, were not up to his original specifications, but that he had to make compromises due to the technical capabilities of the PlayStation 3. In an interview with Edge magazine, he stated, "Game-wise, it's pretty close to the original vision. You sneak into the battlefield and can choose whether to do a stealth game or interfere with the battle more directly. But the graphic, side things like motion blending and size of the map totally was not accomplished to my original vision, to my satisfaction." With Metal Gear Solid 5, he almost achieved the perfect vision he was aiming for, but with his fallout with Konami, all but ensured that we got an incomplete game instead. Now we will probably never receive a perfect Kojima-developed Metal Gear game ever. The boss's voice actor, Eriko Hirata, was in tears when she got to know about the character's ultimate fate. Serving as the main antagonist, or the main hero, alongside Volgin in the third Metal Gear Solid game, the boss is actually a tragic character, one who suffers a terrible fate at the end of the game, meeting her demise at the hands of her apprentice. Eriko Hirata, the actress who brought the boss to life, reportedly was in tears when she learned of the character's fate. The End's parrot is actually a spotter for the sniper. The End, one of the bosses in Metal Gear Solid 3, is an old, weathered sniper with a parrot perched atop his shoulder. However, the bird is more than just a funny addition to the character. It turns out it's actually a spotter, helping the grizzled sniper to pick out Snake. The parrot would wake up the old man whenever he will fall asleep and alert him whenever his target is around. Otacon's voice actor actually auditioned for the voice of Solid Snake. Christopher Randolph plays the lovable Otacon in the series, but that isn't the role he originally wanted. He wanted to take on the iconic role of Snake and even auditioned for Solid Snake. Fortunately, David Hayter got the role as Randolph was much better suited to play the bumbling sidekick. The idea behind Metal Gear Solid 4's intro commercials. Metal Gear Solid 4 begins with a series of commercials for various shows and products within the game's world, but this idea didn't come from nothing. Working with a commercial company named Logan, the team dreamt up several unique concepts that could play before the player was thrust into the story itself. The commercials are rather weird, but if you look closely, they'll all actually deal with themes of Metal Gear Solid 4, such as war, information control, and even act as advertisements for some of the PMCs in the game. Game Informer did a fantastic feature on the vision behind these commercials, and we encourage you to check it out via the link in the description. Metal Gear Solid 4 has the world record for the longest sequence of cutscenes. Yes, the Metal Gear series is known for its incredibly confusing and long-winded story, but Metal Gear Solid 4 takes this to an entirely different level. The game actually won a Guinness World Record for the longest cutscene of all time, clocking in at 27 minutes. It also holds the longest sequence of cutscenes, which lasted 71 minutes. It seems that Kojima went all out in order to fulfill his dream of becoming a movie director. The story behind Old Snake's mustache. The Metal Gear Solid team had toyed around with the idea of Snake having facial hair for years. At one point, they even wanted it to grow in real time, but it wasn't until the fourth game in the series that the Master Spy got his flavor saver. The team went through dozens of mustache designs, which is probably something only Kojima and his team would do. Finally, they were inspired from Lee Van Cleef's from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and nailed the design down in Metal Gear Solid 4. The third child's changing appearance in Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. The third child is yet another terrifying villain of the Metal Gear Solid series, but his appearance changes subtly throughout the plot. This actually depends on which other character is controlling them. It's not immediately recognizable, but throughout the game's story, they are under control of Volgin, Venom, Skullface, and Eli, each time a slight aesthetic change takes place, reflecting their master. Metal Gear Solid borrows a few elements from Metal Gear 2: Solid Snake. The plot of Metal Gear Solid is heavily influenced by Metal Gear 2: Solid Snake. Both games involve female heroines coming out of nowhere to aid Snake. Both of them had the same contact frequency, 140.15, battle with Hind D, and feature Gray Fox as an unexpected ally. These elements serve as a clever connecting tissue, giving the series an even wider narrative. Metal Gear 2: Solid Snake character designs were based on real-life people. Metal Gear 2, like every other game in the series, has an eclectic cast of characters, but they weren't dreamt out of thin air. In fact, almost all of them were based on real actors, historical figures, and fictional action heroes. Mel Gibson served as the inspiration for Solid Snake, while Sean Connery led to the design of Big Boss. It makes the entire game's cast seem much more interesting. The original Metal Gear from 1987 was intended to be an action game with modern military combat. The original concept for Metal Gear didn't include any of the mechs, superpowered individuals, or strange conspiracy theories revolving around 3 clones of a legendary soldier. It was supposed to be a very straightforward tale of military warfare and espionage, but due to MSX2's limited hardware capabilities and carrying on the inspiration from The Great Escape, Kojima came up with an idea that truly changed the genre forever. And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at Gaming Vault, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.